Steelers Nation, take a deep breath, because what's happening inside that locker room isn't chaos, it's pressure. Pressure from a team that knows it can do more but feels trapped by its own choices. The defense that's always been the heart of this franchise is now at a breaking point, and what used to be strength is starting to look like doubt. The coach spoke, the fans reacted, and today, the truth is that the Steelers' biggest challenge might not be on the other side of the line of scrimmage, but within themselves. So let's go, because today, we're putting it all on the table. No filters, no excuses, just that raw, black and gold energy that defines who we are. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button to support the channel, and if you believe, drop it in the comments. Go Steelers, I believe. The tension inside Pittsburgh's locker room is starting to show, not because of chaos or controversy, but because this defense is at a crossroads. Mike Tomlin, standing firm behind the podium on another Tomlin Tuesday, gave fans plenty to talk about. His latest comments painted a picture of a coach still searching for the right balance, a defense built on man coverage and aggression that, so far, just isn't delivering the results he envisioned. What he didn't say outright, but what became painfully clear from his words, is that Pittsburgh's biggest enemy right now might not be the opponent on the schedule, it might be stubbornness within its own coaching philosophy. Let's start with the most frustrating storyline of the week, Nick Herbig's limited snaps, 29. That's all the field time he saw against Cincinnati, a decision Tomlin justified by saying Herbig isn't as strong against the run. But to anyone watching this defense closely, that answer doesn't hold up. When Alex Highsmith was out earlier this season and Herbig stepped in full time, Pittsburgh's run defense actually improved. From weeks 3 to 6, the Steelers ranked among the top 5 in the league in EPA per rush allowed, the best stretch of run defense they've had all year. And who was on the field nearly every play during that run? Nick Herbig. The young edge rusher has brought energy, consistency, and most importantly, results. Taking him off the field against a run-heavy Bengals team didn't make sense, and it showed immediately. Chase Brown gashed this defense, exposing the same issues we thought Pittsburgh had fixed earlier in the year. It's one thing for fans to call this out, but when even the numbers back it up, it becomes hard to defend. Herbig currently leads all Steelers edge rushers in sacks, quarterback hits, and tackles for loss, ahead of TJ Watt in each of those categories. Sure, Watt commands most of the double and triple teams, which gives Herbig cleaner looks. But productivity is productivity. You can't look at a player performing at a top 15 level among NFL edge defenders and justify giving him fewer than 30 snaps in a crucial divisional game. That's not just a questionable coaching call, it's a self-inflicted wound. And that leads into a bigger conversation about Mike Tomlin's defensive vision. All offseason, Tomlin preached a philosophy centered on man coverage. When the team brought in veterans like Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay, the message was clear. We're going to trust these guys on islands and play aggressive, tight coverage. But here's the reality. The plan just isn't working. Ramsey and Slay were elite man corners in their prime, no question. But time catches up to everyone. Both are older, more instinctual players now, not the shutdown athletes they once were. This season, whenever Pittsburgh lines them up in true man coverage against the league's best receivers, it ends badly. The Thursday night loss to Cincinnati was a prime example. Jamar Chase shredded them for 16 catches, and it could have been worse if not for a few drops. Tomlin admitted that the cornerback group hasn't met his expectations, but he insists he's not discouraged. The problem isn't discouragement, it's denial. Pittsburgh's coaching staff seems intent on forcing a scheme that doesn't fit the personnel. The Steelers rank near the top of the league in man coverage percentage, but near the bottom in success rate when using it. And still, the approach hasn't changed. If anything, it's gotten more predictable. Offenses know exactly what they're getting, one-on-one matchups with aging corners and a defensive front that loves to send 5 rushers. That predictability became the main topic after the Bengals game, especially when Jamar Chase said, "The Steelers' defense did exactly what we were expecting and hoping they would do." Fans seized on that quote like gasoline on a fire, claiming the defense had become too easy to read. But linebacker Patrick Queen was quick to push back. He reminded everyone that every NFL team studies tendencies. Knowing what's coming doesn't automatically mean you can stop it. Former Steeler Trey Essex even jumped in, saying predictability is overhyped. What really matters is execution. He's right, to a point. The issue in Pittsburgh isn't that opponents know what's coming, it's that the Steelers keep calling plays their current personnel can't execute. Asking Ramsey and Slay to play isolation coverage against elite route runners at this stage of their careers is setting them up to fail. Then, when the plan crumbles, the coaching staff doesn't adjust. Against Cincinnati, the Steelers only doubled Jamar Chase twice all game. 2 times. Everyone in the stadium knew he was the biggest threat, and yet Pittsburgh kept leaving him one-on-one. That's not just poor execution, that's poor situational awareness from the sideline. The same stubbornness shows in the pass rush decisions. Pittsburgh loves to blitz 5, but the truth is, they don't need to. With Watt, Highsmith, and Herbig all healthy, this team can get pressure with 4. Dropping that extra defender back into coverage could help protect the corners and disrupt timing routes that have been killing them. Instead, the staff keeps chasing the identity they talked about in August, not the one that fits this roster in October. And this is where Tomlin's adaptability, something that has defined his coaching career, must come back into play. He's kept this team competitive for nearly 2 decades because he adjusts when he needs to. He's done it on offense this year, adding jumbo packages and revamping the run game. The question now is, will he swallow his pride and do the same for the defense? Because if he doesn't, the cracks we're seeing could widen fast. Because here's the thing, this isn't just about one bad game or one stubborn decision. It's about a pattern that's starting to define this team's defensive identity, and it's putting the Steelers at risk of wasting what should be an elite unit. The irony is that the talent is there. The pieces are in place. TJ Watt is still playing at a Defensive Player of the Year level, Alex Highsmith continues to disrupt plays off the edge, and Nick Herbig has proven he can be a legitimate force when given the opportunity. The front 7 has the tools to dominate. The issue isn't personnel, it's how that personnel is being used. You can't keep pretending the formula from years past will work forever. The league has evolved, and Pittsburgh's defense needs to evolve with it. Teams are exploiting this predictable man-to-man structure by using motion, rub routes, and quick passes that neutralize the pass rush. When you have older corners like Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey trying to chase younger, faster receivers across the field without safety help, you're inviting trouble. And that's exactly what happened against Cincinnati, again and again. It's time to play smarter, not harder. This defense doesn't have to abandon its identity entirely, but it needs to adjust its philosophy, mixing in more zone concepts, giving those corners some layered help over the top, and trusting the front 4 to generate pressure without constant blitzing. These aren't radical ideas. They're the kind of mid-season adjustments great teams make. Tomlin has done it before. Remember how the offense turned around earlier this year? The Steelers were struggling to move the ball until they made a structural change, inserting Spencer Anderson as a jumbo tight end and leaning into power formations. That one move changed the offense's rhythm. The same kind of rethink is now overdue on defense. Patrick Queen hit on something crucial when he said that everyone in the league knows tendencies. That's true, but the great defenses, the ones that thrive year after year, know how to disguise them. They might show the same pre-snap look but rotate late, drop a linebacker instead of blitzing, or bait quarterbacks into thinking they're seeing man coverage before rolling into zone. That's the kind of deception Pittsburgh has been missing. Instead, their opponents are reading the defense like a playbook they've studied 100 times before. It also comes down to communication and accountability. The best teams in football know when to hold players accountable and when to hold the coaches accountable. If the scheme isn't working, if your corners are being burned repeatedly in the same situations, it's not enough to say, "We just have to execute better." That's not strategy, that's stubbornness. And right now, stubbornness is costing Pittsburgh games they could and should be winning. Even the run defense, which has improved overall, takes a hit when the coaching staff refuses to rotate in players like Herbig, who have clearly earned more snaps. A balanced rotation between Watt, Highsmith, and Herbig wouldn't just maximize production, it would keep all 3 fresher deep into the 4th quarter and later into the season. That's how elite defenses sustain their energy down the stretch. Yet here we are, still watching Herbig sit for more than half the game while the numbers scream that the team performs better when he's on the field. Now, let's be honest, Mike Tomlin's track record demands respect. 18 straight non-losing seasons don't happen by accident. He's built his reputation on discipline, player motivation, and adaptability. But every great coach faces a turning point where they have to let go of what worked before and embrace what's needed now. This feels like one of those moments. His own words about adaptability, "I'm never too married to a vision," are being tested in real time. If he means that, now's the moment to prove it, because the AFC North isn't waiting for Pittsburgh to figure things out. The Bengals are finding rhythm again, the Browns are still fielding one of the best defenses in the league, and the Ravens, even with Lamar Jackson banged up, remain dangerous when healthy. If the Steelers want to separate themselves from the pack, they can't keep clinging to what's not working. They have to evolve faster, think smarter, and coach bolder. Fans see it, analysts see it, even some players probably feel it. This team has all the makings of a legitimate contender, but only if the coaching staff stops getting in its own way. The offense has already taken that leap, the defense needs to follow. So here's the real question, Steelers Nation, can Mike Tomlin swallow his pride, shift this defensive vision, and unleash the full potential of this roster before it's too late? Or will this season be remembered as the one where Pittsburgh's defense was good, but never as great as it could have been? If you've been following the ups and downs of this team as closely as I have, you know the answer to that question might define the rest of the season. So drop your thoughts in the comments below. Should the Steelers stick with this man-heavy defense or make the big changes fans are calling for? And if you want more of this kind of deep dive Steelers talk every week, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out the next video that's already up on screen right now. We're breaking down the matchups and the moves that could turn this defense around before the playoff push begins. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about schemes or statistics, it's about identity. The Pittsburgh Steelers have always prided themselves on physical, intelligent football. From the Steel Curtain era to the hard-nosed defenses of the 2000s, this franchise built its legacy on toughness and adaptability. That's what made them feared. That's what made them special. But somewhere along the way, that edge has dulled. You can still feel the fight in this team, but it's being restrained by decisions that don't match the DNA of Steelers football. When you look at players like T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig, you see hunger. You see speed, intensity, and relentless pursuit. Those guys should be unleashed, not limited by outdated ideas about who can stop the run or who fits a certain role. The Steelers don't need a perfect scheme. They need one that maximizes the raw firepower they already have. And that starts with putting your best players on the field, trusting their instincts, and adapting to the flow of the game instead of trying to force it to fit a plan drawn up on Tuesday. The same goes for the secondary. Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay may no longer be in their primes, but they're still capable when used wisely. Give them help over the top, rotate coverages, let them use their experience and football IQ instead of asking them to chase 24-year-old burners all over the field. There's no shame in changing the blueprint. There's only shame in watching the same problems unfold week after week because you refuse to.